all the time that we've seen this locked in. One of the few teams that are still willing to play this in the top lane. I'm still looking, though. Obviously, we were talking about the Camille potential for ALE if you want to flex that in towards the jungle. But going across over to the opposite side, Varus going to be hovered here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe one of these big picks like the Rise or an Irelia locked into that mid lane for Shanks.
Yeah, I feel like a big thing as well, right, is if W lock this in, I think we need to remember that higher likelihood that it does go into the top side for Breathe. We have seen Shanks play it, so it still can be a bit of a flex. I like if WE lock this in, if they are, if they do have that Irelia ready, having the mixed damage in both either top jungle or mid jungle to set up for a lot of these team fight plays. And now for LNG, we're going to look at where they want to go. Again, do you want to leave Viego as a top laner, or do you want to put him in the jungle?
Yeah, and I think that's the big question mark for me here, because if WE are like, right, we're pretty sure that this Viego is going top side, they flex that Irelia mid, let's take the Jace into the top side of the map, and there's been such a big pick for Breathe, give him that bully opportunity against ALE.
And I love the Irelia with the Diana as well. Either top or mid, it's such an incredibly potent combo. So much power in those kind of setups in the level 6. You can set up a lot for your teams. We now see LNG leaning back towards that Aphelios that has been so prominent throughout playoffs.
And the thing is, I think Aphelios is really good into the first two picks coming out from the side of WE, right? Aphelios loving to play into these short-range champions that want to jump into him, get off the max range damage. Red-white means let's fight can always come out from him. And now from LNG, I'm a bit surprised he didn't go towards the Thresh here to give Aphelios a bit more safety, but still having a lot more long range with their composition.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same mindset, right? Either the Thresh or the Braum. Just something that's going to be able to dissuade a lot of this dive. I know that the Azir obviously kind of facilitates that when you're looking at a hell of a lot of dive. The Emperor's Divide going to do work. But we're going to probably see WE tending down towards those bans in the bot side, right? Get rid of the Braum, get rid of the Thresh, and make this Aphelios uncomfortable, especially against that Ashe.
Yeah, we of course have seen Lwandy pick up the Alistar as well. It's something that he's very, very comfortable with. It does do a lot of what they always like to have him do. Disengage and engage. But now we see the Ashe being locked up there for Elk. So we are going to wait and see how these champions start to fall. Now for LNG, you kind of have to make a guess whether or not Breathe is going to take that Irelia or not.
So what I would do if I was LNG here is I think you put one ban towards the mid lane, you take away the Rise, because when you look at Shanks' champion pool, both LeBlanc and Rise do have matchups where you can go into the Azir. But without those, I don't think Shanks really has a champion that could really do much into it. So take away that, then I think you can start putting more bans into the top side if you are afraid of more of the obscure champions coming out from Breathe.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see if like Shanks does end up going towards something like the Yasuo in the mid lane, right? Because we've seen this combo before where you end up taking the double combo between the two of them, especially when you've got that Ashe as well. You can set up for some really strong engages, and something's tickling the back. I think Shanks was a big Yasuo player back in the day.
Yep, he was in solo queue.
So, maybe.
Yeah, and now the big thing is, right, we've only seen him play it once in competitive, and it did not work out. You will have a bit of a rough early laning phase if he does elect to opt into it against Icon. Happy to see that LNG are kind of on the same wavelength, thought, hey, we're going to take away the Rise. We are not sure if Shanks is confident into playing the Irelia. As to where for WE, they are just banning out Ale. They're taking away some more of these signature picks back from when he was natural in both the Jax and the Camille. And I think so far you're setting up right where WE have this very like heavy dive-oriented composition. Maybe they can start to like turn it into a comp that can play side lanes and play 1-3-1. But for LNG, their team fights are just going to be insane no matter what they route of the draft.
It does feel like WE are trying to force this Viego into the top side though, because like when you look at Ale's champion pool, we're very quickly dwindling here with the Camille, the Jax, and the Renekton all taken off the board. It does feel like they're going to kind of hope to force this into the top side. As we talked about before, that Jace still up and available. That could be the pick that WE are eyeing up here for Breathe in this last selection.
And with this, the Sett being picked up now as well, still a bit of a flex, can go top. You can still flex that Irelia down into the mid lane as well. So we're seeing now what they want to go for, but plenty of options here for the side of LNG, depending on what they want to put in support.
I'm curious, I'm actually thinking for LNG, Tarzan's been a big Zac player, right? And you kind of do need some engage on this squad, so maybe we just have Lwandy going towards the Alistar or something along those lines to try and like facilitate that style. Otherwise, you're kind of leaving WE to be the ones that are engaging, right? You don't really have a huge amount of range in this composition, so you need something to set them up.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? Even if they are playing a comp that has more range, you can just poke and siege. I still think always having something that does give you even like turn potential, if you want to go onto something like a Baron first, can be quite good. Dagda, you did hit on the Braum earlier. It does seem like that's going to be the pick for Lwandy. So it is mostly just going to be about controlling these waves in mid, trying to get on objective source, poke people off, and make WE's life a living hell of trying to reclaim space.
Yeah, I think with the Braum as well, you're looking for that little bit of extra engage as well, but they're not going with the Thresh.
I would love Jace here, right? You've got Ashe that can poke, you've got the Jace then that can poke, and we just highlighted LNG. They don't really have any sort of big engage tool. So if WE want to go towards that, it would have worked out wonders. I mean, you still got that same style here with the Kennen, where you can just try and fire from afar and prevent LNG from engaging.
I feel like a big thing with the Kennen when I look at it in this draft, right, is it is going to be so reliant on TP. Kennen having to run face first into things like Braum, into things like the Emperor's Divide can be quite hard. So really going to be keeping an eye on WE's warding to make sure they do get the most out of this Kennen.
All right, both teams locked and loaded. We've got a hell of a lot of engage from WE and LNG, keeping everyone at arm's length. Looking at these two compositions, Dagda, would go at you. Do you feel like both teams are happy?
I mean, I think for LNG, I would have preferred to see a little bit more engaged, right? We've already kind of hit on it. I think you've got like...
So 5, LNG versus Team WE. And we had a quick look at the summoner spells. We are seeing a lot more of that unsealed spell book Sett coming out a lot more.
Yeah, and this is going to be a really interesting one, because against the Braum, you don't really need a huge amount of like lane focus, right? He's going to disengage, he's going to be fine. But what it does set up for is these kind of TP plays that you can look for. Swap over to that, make your way around the map, and it's going to enable missing quite a bit, because one of the big things both myself and Lyric were looking at was this support matchup, the roaming potential. We talked about it at length, trying to link up with your jungler. Doesn't matter if Missing's a bit late to the party, he can always join in with that summoner later.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest focal point of today's matchup, what we've seen so far in regionals, is between mid and support, who can be more effective on the map, especially playing towards that top side where we know both teams like to play, and Penguin, we're already starting to see a bit of trading coming out from these guys.
Yeah, just a little bit of trading. Breathe going a bit too far forward. We'll have the Conqueror stacks now for ALE, so he's actually healing up while also putting down the damage, forcing out a pot, might actually force out a flash if Breathe is not careful. Does have the Lightning Surge, and not the greatest of starts here for WE.
Definitely not. I mean, the fact that you managed to get ALE hiding in that bush, catches Breathe off guard, is really good, because now you have to be a little bit more honest as Breathe. And if you're able to close this distance as ALE, get Tarzan up there a little bit early, always the opportunity to take down that's Kennen.
Yeah, and you know, now though he's not going to have that Q, so he's not going to be able to look for that continuous poke to keep trying to chunk him out. I think Breeze should have a fine time of just playing from range and being able to, you know, accept the punishment. The trade level 1 is still very good, right? It's going to give ALE complete control. Now maybe you can try and chain Tarzan up into a gank, though it does look like Tarzan full clearing down towards his bot side, so we probably won't see anything top until about the 4-minute mark coming in. But look at for the side of WE, they're the ones who have heavy prio on the bot side.
Yeah, I do think top lane is going to be a hell of a lot of focus in this matchup, though, because obviously we've already talked about WE liking to play up here, but ALE also, when we look at the regular split, has been the weakest point, right? 15th when it came to CSD at 15, 16th in the league when it came to goal difference at 15. Now, he has stepped up coming into playoffs specifically on this Viego pick, but certainly it's been through the help of LNG and Tarzan, making sure he gets into matchups okay.
And the big thing we actually didn't really talk about, the utility you get with the AShe. Obviously, a lot of solo lanes were coming in, but we saw it in the little picture-in-picture. You have that hawk shot, so keeping tabs on where Tarzan is, knowing whereabouts he's going to be, what camps he's cleared, and just trying to make it a little bit easier here for Beishang to make some plays.
Yeah, just, you know, making it easier even for, like, the other lanes to know how to, like, manage their wave states and make sure that they don't put themselves in a position where they can get punished. I think for the side of WE, that's not really a big problem so far, just because Shanks, of course, is going to get pushed in mid, and Breathe losing so heavily in that trade top level 1 means he also hasn't had push so far. So for WE, you're pretty much completely looking at your bottom lane. You do have Sett, so typically you could see some early flash plays come out to burn summoners, but I think with the fact that you do have Diana in the jungle, just means WE are fine to pretty much just straight up chill until level 6.
Yeah, and I want to see some action early here from Tarzan, because obviously when we look at yesterday's games, he was such a focal point for LNG, then building off the advantages he gained from shutting down his opponent, getting in, invading, making sure that he could play through his solo lanes, and once more we see him teetering back up towards his top side and maybe looking at the mid lane.
Oh, both junglers are here in the mid lane. Beishang and Tarzan, I don't think they know that each other is here. Now they do. Undertow is going to land, so Beishang going to be coerced back towards his side of the jungle, but Tarzan on an Olaf level 4, he's pretty damn strong.
And you can see as well that like this is going to be the game plan from Tarzan as well. It's gone blue smite, wants to try and use it to slow down Beishang, give Icon the opportunity to come over and support.
Viego's roaming down though. There's going to be a 3v2. I don't know if Shanks wants to be here. Great flawless duet to try and stop anyone from jumping in. Beishang does have his W up to give him a little bit of a shield. May be forced to use his flash here. Yes, he is. And they're going to get themselves a summoner and back themselves out.
Yeah, nice shot by LNG using the prowl they had in topside to make this a numbers advantage play. I get what W are going for, right? Because Tarzan was going to invade no matter what, because you do have push in the mid lane, you have a winning jungle matchup. Shanks trying to get that TP because he had to reset anyway to prevent that from happening, but sadly you do end up losing the summoner. Now LNG just doing a nice job of transitioning this into taking away more camps from the side of WE.
Yeah, and I think if you're WE here, just start to try and play around the bot side, right? Breathe, as soon as he hits 6, should be relatively safe underneath his tower, so you want to start trying to pick up these dragons, find these opportunities where you can get these leads, because as we said, WE, they're the ones that want to be trying to go in aggressive, find these flights, find multiple flank angles. And if you're picking up these dragons nice and early, you're going to force LNG into these spots where they have to fight you.
And the big push in the mid lane, you can see it there on the mini-map, going to be forcing the TP out of Icon, as we can see now Beishang looking to try and take away the chickens that were taken from him. We see a flash forward into it. They're going to have the Emperor's Divide available to him, but they know there's no flash, and that's first blood to LNG.
And I just love that coming out from Lwandy, instantly going for the flash the second he sees Beishang, because they realize, we just took Beishang's flash up in the top side. He cannot get away from this play. Beishang, I think, wanting to go for that counter jungle on the opposite side, because Tarzan did show on top, it makes sense, but still getting punished with nice movement from Lwandy.
And it's so big that that gold is going into light as well, right? Because when you look at the opportunities for this Aphelios to pop off, if everyone's in on top of you, you love that as Aphelios, especially if you got those red-white guns. And we're going to get this replay here, right? Icon spots out Beishang, really good read from LNG, and as you called it, Lyric, instant flash over from Lwandy. They had 4 members in place, and there was just no answer from WE on that bot side because they were pushed in.
I will say, you did have to expend Light and Iwandy's flash and the exhaust as well, so there may be an opportunity here for the side of WE to punish that, but again, still great to get the first blood onto your AD carry.
Yeah, I actually love that you point that out, Penguin, because not only right now, but throughout this whole game, WE are going to continuously have to look to, like, set up an early fight before an objective comes up to try to burn these flashes if they want to then all in at an objective, right? Because it feels like both Light and Icon can just use flash to get out the initial burst from the side of WE, and then you really have no follow-up. So we're going to be waiting for Beishang to hit level 6, and then seeing if you are able to capitalize on that bottom half of the map, though Light does still have the cleanse.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised though that we haven't seen more out of Missing so far this game. Like, when you take this set, you're able to go incredibly aggressive. Now, I know he is taking the Unsealed spell, but we're not seeing kind of the more aggressive setups there. But still, you should be able to make things happen against this lane with the flashes burned.
Oh, they're going to look for Light here. Flash forward. They're going to force the cleanse out of him. As you can see, Elk using his own cleanse as well. But they have the concussive blows, but it's enough for the Haymaker to take down Light. Elk will walk away. That is exactly what we wanted to see.
And honestly, I was so afraid for Elk right there, right? We saw the Chakrams, Crescendum Severum being on the board. I was like, man, how many times are we going to see 80 carries just walk into this? Elk, though, did have enough damage in the end. The Ignite did come out for Missing. Now it looks like W trying to set up a play on the top side.
I'll look for it here. Do not have vision on where Beishang is just yet. The Olaf is down by the blue buff, so wouldn't be too far away to join up, but difficult to make something going. And the Unbreakable going to keep Iwandy pretty damn safe as they push up towards the tower. Yeah,
you're going to be able to get some of these plates, which is going to be super nice for Elk, right? Because you got that early kill for Light. Now you've got the assist back over towards Elk, those 2 turret plates as well. You're punishing this short range of Aphelios on the bottom side, and we're just going to get a replay of this fight.
Yeah, and Elk looking for it. Light, I mean, just feeling pretty confident. Just trying to push up the wave, actually. Missing does get here first. Did still have both summoners up. He comes out instantly into the cleanse, and again, it looks so close. Does end up getting the last bit of the Haymaker damage in the end to make sure they went out.
Yeah, and really nice flash from Elk as well, right? To get around that Braum shield that was protecting Light. That could have been the difference maker there for LNG, but Elk managing to play around that.
And that's the big thing as well. That play goes wrong. That's 2 kills onto Light. They probably kill the Sett as well, as he probably just got his flash off. That's a huge moment here as well. But speaking of huge moments, we are going to see the Slicing Maelstrom here on top for AShe. He's just forcing out this big summoner. Goes in with the Heartbreaker. He has enough, forcing the flash as well. Beishang is here, and AShe does not want to push up too far.
You have to be so careful. Missing has the TP. He's still in bot lane and could join in on this topside play.
Oh, they're going to look for him. They're trying to see if they can find him, but he's just got himself underneath his turret, so AShe should be safe.
Yeah, and now we're going to see, right, WE having control on the top half of the map. I think it is a bit sad because, like Dagda was just saying, Lwandy was roaming up, so if LNG could have been able to keep that pressure, you could instantly transition that into a Rift Herald. But we're seeing supports kind of default back to their normal lanes.
Yeah, I want to see, though, a little bit of pressure from LNG towards this Rift Herald, right? Because Breathe isn't as big of a factor when he doesn't have his ultimates at these fights. And if you can roam your bot lane up because you've got the priority, you can look for it, but it could just be gone.
Don't forget, you do have a technical cross map with the Ashe arrow, so you can go for that. But Tarzan looking like he's just going to try and steal away some camps, going back to his roots of just taking all camps at all times back when he was in the LCK. So just able to capitalize on that, so it'll be an objective for a couple of camps.
Yeah, I mean, and even more than that, right? Because you could see that Elk not feeling comfortable to sit under turret by himself, but AShe might be getting caught out.
They're going to try and catch the flash, but AShe just stunned a little bit too short and getting himself down.
Ooh, I was going to say, if you look at the minimap, we see a lot of shenanigans happening in the bot lane.
Bot lane. Elk has no way out, but you can see the damage, the turret's going down. Shanks trying to roam here, but Icon is already there to answer. There is the Emperor's Divide to try and shuffle him back into the team. We will have the Blade Surge from Shanks to keep himself safe, and there's a lot of poke damage going down. Icon punishing Shanks for the roam.
Great cross map though from LNG, right? They get the kill on towards Elk in the bottom lane. They're about to take the dragon as well. Turret plates galore being given towards Light, so you're already answering for that Rift Herald on the top side.
That's the thing, right? I think there's been a lot of discussion in the community about like the cross-map play for Herald and how like most of the time it does just end up being more valuable. But here in the LPL, I feel like we've seen teams either just never go for it or be late on it so much because they like to stare at you at first when you're going for the Rift Herald. Nice to see LNG go for this, take away the camps, zone out Elk, and then in the end find the kill. Ragnarok does come out to prevent the pullback from the showstopper, instantly running on top of Elk. He doesn't really have any way of getting out of there because he didn't have flash up.
And Olaf is disgusting at this stage of the game, right? He is so much healing, he's so difficult to deal with. The Ragnarok means that half of Missing's kit just is negligible because of the CC, so able to start that play off and set it up. And again, you can see reflecting the gold lead, right? 1,000 gold with Ale here.
Yeah, Ale just roaming up, has got himself a little bit of topside priority, but Shanks with that W keeps himself nice and healthy, gets the damage mitigation, and now we are still waiting for those big items, but a big item that just got picked up. We talked about a scary Olaf. He's got himself a gore drinker.
Yeah, he's going to be a menace in these early skirmishes. And that's what we were hitting on coming out of draft, right? If LNG can get themselves a foothold in this game early on, it's going to be really hard for W to play just with how their composition wants to play out, of having to dive into your composition.
And I feel like it's the opposite for Beishang, right? Beishang has been struggling this game. He's got a ton of camps stolen away by Tarzan. He's already dropped one kill as well because he had that flash burnt early, but missing.
Oh, another flash TP committed. There's the Glacial Fisher down onto missing. We are going to see a flawless duet come down though, and the Vanguard dead. The Ash Arrow from the backside means the Olaf is dead to trade for support, and Jungler for just the support, but here comes Light. The Emperor's Divide to put Shanks right back into harm's way, but Icon follows him over the wall. Nicely done, but while that was all happening, Breathe saves the play for WE and gets a solo kill.
Yeah, absolute chaos everywhere. We see LNG trying to be the aggressors on the bottom half of the map. W did have their combos up in both mid and jungle though, so they were able to pull some kills back. But like you said, Breathe finding that solo kill up in the top side, a bit of revenge for, you know, all the punishment he was taking earlier.
And it feels so good as well for Breathe being able to find that. As you say, like, he's going to get turret plates now. He's going to be able to get back in control on that top side. And we just see it here, right? Missing, we've talked about it a lot. Finding these weird spots where he's off on his own trying to get the wards down, but you just don't expect as many people to come out of the woodwork from WE. Even that Ash Arrow as well here being so crucial. Eventually Light does get up here to try and find this kill onto Shanks, but it's just that little bit too late.
Oh, so close. Icon right on the edge of getting over that wall and getting that kill. So I'll have a look at the pro view of exactly how this one went down. This is just, you see, they're going in, they're trying to go for this, and this is just Beishang saying, look, we can take a fight if our ultimates are up.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny that we get Beishang's pro view, right? Because he pretty much just throws out all of his skills once. We see him use the Moonfall, instantly picks up one kill. Other member already quite low. I think it was Lwandy they pick up right after there. And just comes out from that initial burst coming out from WE. If LNG do group up, they have the tools to win these fights.
And I'm delighted to see Beishang coming back into it, right? Because as an assassin, you need this gold, and he's looking for more.
Oh, they're looking for Ale. They do not have the slicing maelstrom. Ale does not have his flash. And interesting enough, we talked about how pivotal that top side will be. It's a 500 gold lead here for WE, and they are trying to double down on that right now, getting themselves some plates.
The thing is, though, you're going to get the 2 plates here in top side. Tarzan already rotating alongside Icon to make sure that's okay, but bot side, you've got Light and an open turret. Elk is moving mid lane. They're not going to protect this bot side turret.
No, they're not going to be able to. We've seen the replay there. Just one missed stun, and that was enough for Ale to end up going down. You have to respect the Pikachu in the top side, and even trying to outplay it with the flash, just not able to make it happen.
Yeah, Breathe had some nice side steps in there, though, as well. I think he ended up dodging 2 Qs in that small bit of replay. We are going to see W winning out on top side, but like Dagda was hitting on, not exactly able to answer on the bottom half of the map just yet. Yeah, gold. Pretty much even. And this is what we were thinking coming today, right? That we really didn't know where this matchup would sway. Sure, WE got 3-0'd, but it was by RNG who came in super strong, and LNG picked up a 3-0, but RA really not looking like they showed up yesterday at all.
Yeah, you can see, though, like, if you look at that bot side, right? Light, 5,800 gold, essentially. 4,800 for Elk. It's almost 1,000 gold difference, and we've still got that cull in the back pocket of Light as well. So this Aphelios, despite only having the 1 kill, is huge. I mean, he's already got his mythic completed.
Yeah, got the mythic completed. And looking down a couple of the mythics, we actually see the Gore Drinker being picked up by Shanks. You've got the Proto Belt into, the Proto Belt for Beishang. And then, of course, you're looking at just seeing the Leandries here for Icon, building towards that scaling, knowing that if he can just get those little shoulders off, he should be able to get something going for him.
Yeah, and we even see here with turret turret plating, right? Mid-bot for the side of LNG, but it's been all about Breathe for the side of Team WE. He is over with the gold advantage over his counterpart. Looks like about 700 on that end. And we talked about for Breathe, it is going to be a lot about these TPs coming in because LNG do have a lot of good tools at dissuading you in a front-to-back team fight.
You can already see what you talked about here, Lyra, right? When you're looking towards these next objectives, Icon gets pushed mid, LNG are the first ones to move into the river, and it becomes really difficult for WE to try and get the vision control that they want, try and find these crucial flanks, especially for guys like Breathe.
Like you mentioned earlier, Lyric, you want to try and be on the objective first. You want to try and find those key summoners off of carries of LNG for WE to make a fight. Running just straight in with the Kennen, not really the most optimal way to start a fight.
No, so we already see good vision control coming out from the side of LNG, as long as they're watching some of their flanks as well, which so far it's been too early for WE to really push into LNG's jungle and have any of those wards. So I feel like as WE right now, you have to hope that you'd be able to push out that bottom lane wave and make your way into Tri-Brush and try and threaten an angle from there.
Here we go. It is 4 people here at the moment. Both top laners do have TP, and there are plenty of wards for them to TP too. WE pushing LNG back a little bit. Ooh, that Ashe arrow, if it lands, Icon's in a lot of trouble, but that's a big engage tool now down. LNG not willing to let this one go without a fight. WE want to try and take this dragon and get the stacking going back for them, but here's a TP coming in. Dragon has been secured by WE. They're going to have Kennen coming in, but it's just a little bit too deep, not able to make anything happen.
And now you've got nobody to protect that top side. Ale's going to get some free hits onto this turret. He's going to be able to get a bit of control, and it is a bit unfortunate, right? As he said, like, that TP gets spotted. Breathe, despite having the flash, isn't able to get into place. But WE, they're moving up to push Ale off top and also look for Rift Herald.
Yeah, it should be fine, right? Does have a ton of mobility there. A little bit surprised LNG weren't more willing to be the aggressors when WE had to force their way through a choke, right? They had to like all funnel in. You do have a lot of like good zone control on their side, but maybe just saying, hey, we just want to keep farming and get more gold on our carries, but LNG are making their way here now.
I was going to say, they look like they want to fight for this one. Now there's still ultimates available. TP going to be coming in. There's going to be Shanks. They're going to try and get Ale, but he bashes himself away. There is the Emperor Survive to try and get them all out. Oh, that's a good slicing Maelstrom. There's a lot of low health bars. Now Shanks in the backside trying to get for this one. It's going to be the Braum for Sett trade. The Rift Herald did go down. I actually think it was over to WE. You can see the Ragnaroking Tarzan trying to see if he can go for this one. It's pushing forward. It's pushing back. Light has to get himself out, forcing the cleanse and the Immortal Shield Bow shield out of him. It's a very close fight. We can see a TP on the top side, though. Ale trying to come in with some Heartbreaker. There's some low health bars here. It's going to be a lot of resets if he can get it. They do get the flawless duet, and they turns right back on his face. Ale will not get the resets. This Tarzan will not be able to get himself the fight.
And I feel like the big thing, right, is LNG, Ale not really having a way to close that distance, not having the Heartbreaker available. I don't even know if he was able to land the CC there, so instantly Flawless Sweat lands, he gets instantly chunked, and this comes down to the fact that we said LNG really thrive when you're kind of running into them, you can set up quite well. Sure, it kind of looked okay, right, because we didn't get the best slicing Maelstrom from Breathe, just because we're not able to get onto the back line, only ended up trading supports, and the fact that W were there, they were able to get the smite on Herald.
Yeah, and one of the big things that you said, the reason that we didn't have that great ultimate coming through from the Kennen was he got stuck on the wall. He actually tried to flash over the wall. I'm pretty sure he failed it. We get a double check here, but there's that big engage and just doesn't get over that wall, isn't able to make it across, which means that the crucial members of LNG are able to play back, are able to buy that distance, use the fact they've got the range with the Azir, with that with Light as well, having that Gravitum available to buy space and be able to take over this fight.
And the big thing you mentioned in the draft as well, Dagda, is that there's not really a lot of engage from LNG. They can't really create something, and yes, they're pushing forward. Yes, they look like they might be able to get the TP and get some people down, but without that hard CC, you just can't really make it stick.
And also, it looked like they were on different pages, right? Ale's trying to go in for that fight. You look at Light, he's moved back towards mid lane. Tarzan's kind of looking, going, you know, buddy, my health bar is a bit low. I don't know if I want to take this one. So I think it was a little bit messy from LNG in that.
Yeah, I do want to say, though, I mean, LNG are still up in gold. Sure, W do have Rift Herald on the opposite side, so they should be able to equalize that either in top or bot. But I think LNG, in terms of, like champion scaling and how the compositions want to play out, still feeling pretty good in this state of the game. But, I mean, we already see Tarzan and Lwandy linking up.
And one of the big things as well for Light is that he's completed that Wit's End. You've got AP jungle, AP top. The fact you've managed to get this magic resist is going to be so crucial when you're playing that short-range AD carry.
He's 2,500 gold up onto Elk. It's huge for this man right now. He's got an entire item over his counterpart. I mean, you see now LNG just using that range, using the fact that the rest of it, WE WE are scattered to the four corners to get themselves some pressure on some of those easy standing turrets.
Yeah, and we see them now, right? They have control of mid, they have control of top. Ali now going to catch the wave in bot side. So we can see if W want to try and use the window that they have to move, breathe up, and try and force a fight on the opposite side of the map. But it looks like LNG just not even going to give them the chance.
I love the way LNG are playing around Icon, though, right? You don't have a huge amount of wave clear on WE's side. So as long as Tarzan is kind of situated around Icon, they can get this poke onto the turret, start to put a bit of pressure onto WE, and there's not a huge amount WE can do to make plays elsewhere. They're stuck underneath these towers.
Yeah, we are going to see WE now use the window. They know that some of the LNG members did go for those resets. They are going to put Herald down mid. I don't think they should be able to get the turret with the fact that all of LNG's members are here, and they're just going to back off instantly. Doesn't look like they're too comfortable to force fight, but look on the mini-map. Ale being a little bit dangerous.
Little cheeky as he gets himself around that blue buff on the red side of WE. So dragon spawning in 30 seconds. If WE don't feel comfortable with it, they can leave it. Everyone just has a dragon each, so there's no real urgency on that soul as of now. It's a 2,000 goal lead, pretty much sitting on top of Light exclusively at this point in time. And LNG, they know they're at a stronger point because they know how strong this Aphelios is.
Yeah, but still, that's going to be crucial, right? Is Light being willing to be the aggressor, being willing to play forward, kind of like how we saw Viper did in the finals, right? Knowing his strength. Because if not, if we see a situation like last time where WE are just allowed to walk through the choke and enter, it's not really going to mean much. Though it does look like WE aren't even going to look to contest the Drake. They're going to be happy just getting some gold on Irelia on the opposite side and just kind of wait for a better moment.
Yeah, also I think kind of just playing through side lanes is going to be really nice for Shanks, right? If you can create these longer lanes, he's able to push in, try and find those 1v1s, will work out really, really well. And I mean, it's a Cloud Dragon at the end of the day, second one going across to LNG. It's not going to mean too much in the grand scheme of things.
Now we can have a quick look now. It's big items are being picked up. Morellonomicon has been picked up here by Icon. You're still waiting to really pick up a second item here for Shanks. I imagine, yep, there's most of his components coming out for the Sterix Gauge. And it's all about survivability. And we come back to how these compositions work, where if LNG can get themselves on an objective first, it becomes very difficult for WE to get on top of them. But if WE find that miracle team fight, it's disaster for LNG.
Yeah, I think now that we're in the mid game, we're going to start seeing a bit of stylistic differences, right? LNG, they just kind of want to play as this five-man unit. We're just going to see Icon like answer waves safely on the opposite side. With the fact that they aren't really like a side lane composition, it's going to be like how Dagda said earlier, where you're typically going to have both Tarzan and Lwandy just hovering to make sure you can do it safely. For the side of WE, I think it is a lot more about linking up Beishang and Shanks in a side when one member is isolated, using the fact that the Irelia is stronger in the 1v1 to get pressure, turn to mid first, have numbers advantage, and then force that hard engage either from, you know, Enchanted Crystal Arrow or finding some kind of setup.
Yeah, and especially, if, as you said, if you can try and like push in a wave, have Shanks and Beishang kind of create their own flanks, get that vision control, it's going to be super crucial here. As Ale kind of on the wrong side of the map, but he should be able to back away.
Yeah, should be able to back away. Did have a pink ward there in that brush, so knows that he wasn't really in much danger. Of course, having the encroaching mist to be able to get himself out. So WE looking for an opportunity. We see them do this quite a lot, where they, you know, there's nothing really to gain, so you might as well look for a fight if you can.
Yeah, one of the big things that WE do have to be careful about, though, is if you end up committing multiple members, say, to the bottom side of the map, you're going to be in trouble because the speed at which LNG can take this Baron is absolutely insane. So if you end up leaving that up and available, they'll be able to quickly try and start this up, rip through it, especially as you start to get things like the Blade of the Rune King coming through for Ale, and you've got the Azir and the Aphelios there.
Yeah, and this is honestly a moment where, when I was sitting on it earlier, right, I'd love to see WE force some kind of engage, just because if it does happen right now and you end up losing out, it doesn't mean too much, just to try to burn some of the summoner spells from Light and Icon, so then when the next dragon's up, you can go into that fight, you know, try and find a window either with Breathe or with Beishang to take down some of these carries. We are getting Ale being a little bit cheeky once again, Penguin, but we've seen this numerous times and nothing's happened.
Nothing has happened. Ale is just sitting there in the brush, will have minions in front of him, so knows not going to be able to land that route just yet.
You know, Penguin, we're still 2.5 minutes away from the Drake, and I know how much the fans love the narrative, so inject some narrative into our veins, brother. What is on the line with this series?
Quite a lot. No, sorry. I just wanted to see what
it's a little tournament called.
I don't know. I think the LPL is more hype. You know, it's more LPL teams if it wanted to be the best. Never mind. I went far too down that rabbit hole. But like you said, for these two teams, you can see why it's so tense. We can see why they're not willing to risk absolutely everything off of one random fight, because it is Worlds. It is a massive vindication to your season. It's a continuation of your season. There is a massive gap between the end of LPL and the start of LPL Spring if you do not end up going to that tournament. tournaments. So for both these teams, I understand 100% why they're doing it. 2017, the last time WE made it to Worlds. We, of course, saw them have heartbreak in 2016. Raz made a fantastic point about that on the analyst desk. We got LNG, a relatively new organization with a lot of veteran players looking to show that this team can work. And this is why we see that both sides are just not willing to just throw it away, per se, in a random fight.
And I think as well, just for the players, right? Like, Icon first time getting to Worlds. Tarzan, we already kind of talked about going back to see Jovi in play-ins, because Hanwha Live are in play-ins at the moment. For WE, going back to play-ins to see Morgan on Hanwha Live, you know? Trying to get the reunion there as well. But no,
Much is ready for that one.
I know, yeah. But I think there is obviously a lot that's kind of riding on this for organizational pride, the players themselves. A lot of these guys are first time going to that big stage. And when you see the talent, the new talent that are on these rosters, kind of getting a chance to showcase their stuff against the best at the international stage would be phenomenal.
I think it's a big moment as well. We can see now with 45 seconds to the Dragon. I'm going to be totally honest, I don't think WE looked for the fight here. With a 3-item Aphelios, he has a lot of damage to be able to put down onto you in a very, very short amount of time. But I do think that this is kind of what we expect to see from these two teams. Actually, I say that. We are seeing both sides hovering around this. WE saying, no, Penguin, you're a liar. We are going to bring you blood for the blood god.
The thing is, I think WE need to look for this, right? Because, again, the longer this goes on, you're just funneling more items onto Aphelios and Azir. It's not going to be a good time. WE looking for it.
Ooh, they're looking. There's going to be the Winter Spike going down. They're going to use the Showstopper to try and set it all up. There's the Ashe arrow going straight through. Absolutely nobody. Lwandy forced back. Hasn't used any summoners just yet. They're all starting to reset. This one's a little bit of a scattered fight, but now both teams are together. But LNG, they got to go the long way around because Ale and Tarzan are left by themselves. Heartbreaker to keep Ale safe, but he does get stunned and gets himself out. Now we get a bit of a reset coming in. He has teleport to rejoin this fight. Crucial to know, the only summoner that has been used so far has been that Ghost.
Yeah, unfortunately for WE, they just try to fight in that choke. It makes it so easy for LNG to fight them back, especially when you got like Gravitum. You still got that Azir ultimate available as well.
Ale is back. We do have Missing sitting on top of a ward. They go straight in. The Vanguard's edge. They're trying to go in. Massive ultimate! The slicing Maelstrom is huge on top of the Vanguard's edge. But the fight's not just done yet because it's Aphelios has 3 items and it's doing so much damage. It's going to be enough to keep them all alive. 2 kills for Icon, 2 kills for Aphelios, and a clean 8 for LNG.
And if that doesn't work for WE, I don't know what does. You pretty much got the perfect combo coming out from both Diana and Kennen. But Icon and Light doing so much in that fight. Again, I feel like you've just given LNG way too much time for this composition to come online.
Light came online before the game even got rolling. This guy was getting turret plates, was getting coal stacks, was getting kills. And in that fight, he popped off. And now LNG will turn over towards the Baron. They'll be able to get so much from that engagement.
And absolutely huge. We'll actually want to we come into the replay of this. I want to keep an eye on the stopwatches of Icon and Light because they were absolutely pivotal.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Icon came out of this fight dealing the most damage. So I want to keep my eyes on him. So far, Lwandy doing a really nice job. And it looks like numerous stopwatches just come out. Icon definitely getting into his. Comes out nice flash away, getting away from Shanks, and then goes in. So we see W's members kind of getting separated, some of them jumping out to follow Icon, Icon jumping in once Ale is able to rejoin the fight. And again, the damage is not necessarily being there from some of these wits ends coming out, the lifesteal being there, and the initial burst just not being enough.
And this sucks for WE, because that, as you said, was your big engagement. Everything landed, and you still couldn't win. Now you've got to go against the Baroned up team of LNG. Your wave clear is terrible. Like, the only person who can really do that is going to be Elk. And how do you try and dissuade LNG from pushing in multiple lanes?
Great fight, though, for LNG. They've come out the absolute victor. They're now on Soul Point. They have themselves a Baron. They've got themselves a 7,000 gold lead. They are pushing in all lanes. And they are fine to continue scaling. We saw how much power you have in those short-range team fights with the Aphelios and with the Azir.
Yeah, I mean, again, the fact that we've literally just been chilling for the past 10 minutes. We've been allowed to talk about some narrative, take a bit of a coffee break. I think that just benefits LNG. Let's remember that when EDG lost to WE, the players came out of the match saying in interviews, yeah, WE's tempo just completely overwhelmed us. It was so fast, it was so aggressive. We weren't able to see those plays here today. That really felt like the bread and butter of why WE were able to find so many wins, because they were such a scrappy, brawly team.
Yeah, and I think as well, I mean...
Oh, TP!
TP coming in, and Icon has to go golden so early, so they haven't used all of them ultimates available, but he tries to get himself the Emperor Divide to keep himself alive, but he has fallen. It's a Kennen for an Azir. You're trying to go for this fight, WE, but you're just too separated, and here comes Light with the damage, with the guns. He's got himself enough to keep himself pushing forward. Shanks, you cannot get away from the Winter's Bite because it is cold and it is harsh. They are going to be able to push him back. The Gore Drinker is there, not able to trade it back. LNG looking to take game one.
Such a good job from LNG, and as you said now, they can start to push in with this Baron up line, and they can move in to try and end this game.
Man, Tarzan especially just being such a monster. Everything again landed on him. No damage to be done, just survives through this fight. LNG, though, gonna take this a bit slow. They just,
take us a little moment. They've got themselves a bit of time, bit of money to spend, guarantee themselves a win.
You have to crush WE's mental. You cannot just win, you have to decimate them, put them in the ground. And honestly, this was kind of the fight to do it, right? Because you look at Icon, who does go golden, great jobs getting rid of the stopwatch, but watch that Emperor's Divide, right? Again, getting Breathe completely out of the equation, giving himself time to kind of, well, breathe for a second, and then you look across at Light, who comes in, and he's just able to clean up W.
And the big thing is both Elk and Beishang weren't able to rejoin the fight after the wall came out, so they're just completely separated. The wall pushed numerous members into Tarzan as well, so it's like, cool, this fed Olaf, tons of sustain, popped the Ragnarok instantly in a bunch of these skirmishes, and W just not able to take it.
And it's kind of why I was surprised to see the Diana so early in this draft, right? Because honestly, you end up leaving Tarzan with the counter pick, which is where he's been so comfortable all throughout playoffs, when he's able to kind of eye up exactly what the other team wants to do and pick his champion into it. And at the start of this game, we saw Tarzan continuously invading, getting these advantages over Beishang, and now this Diana just hasn't really paid dividends.
And honestly, I think that was something you had to do in this game for WE. You had to look for that pick. You had to look for an odd number skirmish. You can see just as Light arrives, the game is basically over. The fight is done and dusted. And now, with the mid lane being put under siege, no Baron buff left, but you got some Shurima legacy to keep yourself nice and safe.
Yeah, and I mean, they just have so much range to play off of as well, right? They're fine just waiting out for the next waves. I love that they're having all a prep in the top side. They also have a wave pushing in bot, so just overall, again, nice like balance of map pressure coming out from the side of LNG. They can push in this wave. If it doesn't go in, you can just start hovering up towards the top side with Ale. Make sure you take that turret down. And I'd also love to see LNG just kind of take away some of this vision, though Drake is up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and that would be so a point for LNG, but honestly, how do you try to go for it as WE? I mean, the entire bot side is littered with wards. You don't really have a good flank angle. Maybe they can look for a pick on Ale.
They're going to look for something, but I think the vision control not really in their favor. LNG able to keep that one nicely done, and you can see with the turret in the mid lane means that Elk cannot push this one up. WE have no way of getting outside of their base, and that's going to be sole point to the side of LNG.
I mean, not even just Soul Point, actually just Soul. Now
yeah,
over the side of LNG. We're going to see Ale, though, looking for nothing. And LNG are just so happy to take the slow, right? They keep kind of posturing for things. WE, I mean, they know how far behind they are, so they're not really able to force anything, but Ale finally will.
Ale finds Beishang, goes in with the Heartbreaker, forces the flash away. Tarzan does land an underthrow, and this is going to be enough. Flash forward. Ale gets himself the reset, now has another Heartbreaker to himself. They're going to try and go forward onto this, but Ale needs to be a little bit careful. Has to use his own flash out towards the base, and that's going to be enough to get this a 5v4.
Yeah, and again, just a nice pick coming through from LNG, using the fact that they've got that full vision control. And WE, when they're separated like that, are so vulnerable, and LNG managed to capitalize on that.
Big moment here for LNG. Like you said, they're happy to take it slow, but we've seen these games go absolutely crazy, and it's just taking a long time for them to really end this one out. And I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen, but that does worry me just a tiny bit.
No, Penguin, you're right. This game, an absolute showstopper, crazy, a lyric-certified barn burner, as we see here. Ale going in, gets on top of Beishang. He's like 5,000 gold ahead. Heartbreaker comes out into what are the axes? An actual I don't know why I'm play-by-playing this, but guess what? Baron's up now. LNG can go on this one, and you might not have the best turn because you don't have great engage, but you do have math diff once again.
Look, Lyric, you can't solo cast when there's 3.
Yeah,
that's just not how this
that's
works.
not how the maths works. 1 + 1 + 1 does not equal 1, all right? So we're going to see now Baron being taken out. It's being 2-manned right now, but we don't want to let this one go. This is very much your last chance. The Glacial Fish are going to be used to jump down onto Shanks, who's trying to keep himself alive. He's got the Gore Drinker, got the Stairs Gate. He's just so tanky. There's a Moonlight Vigil putting down the health bars of WE is now the raging Olaf runs straight into him. There is a great slicing Maelstrom back onto the backside. It's a trade, though, and there's just nothing left. There's nothing they can do. Light's doing too much damage. They have not got enough. And I got a little confused there, but it's Ale who gets the triple kill.
And LNG wanted to take it, so they wanted to mentally cripple WE like Dagda was talking about. At the end of the day, they did it, and this was pretty decisive for the side of LNG.
Absolutely decisive. They're going to be able to take game one.
Yeah, it's going to be advantage to LNG. WE not able to make their composition work, and LNG just scaling to a very, very nice victory.
Yeah, I mean, we saw LNG able to come out ahead in the early laning phase. I think top lane going really well for Ale, right? Just pretty much forcing Breathe down to half HP. Mid jungle was doing quite well. I love that Tarzan realized, hey, I do have this jungle advantage using the engages. And it really felt like WE's only like shining light could have been bot lane, but we didn't see missing moving like you were pointing out, Dagda.
Yeah, and I think that was the big one for me, was like I wanted to see that aggression from Missing in the early stages, right? Like, especially when you're on that set. Flash in, burn those flashes, especially onto people like Light. When he's on this Aphelios, then you can use the Hex Flash to put even more pressure on him. It's how you can use that matchup very well to take over that bottom side. Instead, it was Light who ended up getting a ton of turret plates. He was the one getting the kills. He even went back and picked up that cull. And we saw this massive inflation in that gold lead that he managed to pick up in those early stages.
Yeah, it did feel like LNG were in a lot of control of a lot of the game. It felt like they were the ones dictating, similar to what we said earlier, the tempo, how and when things were being taken place. And again, I feel like we just need a little bit more of what we saw from playoffs from WE. That big impact plays, the overwhelming kind of support you get from everywhere on the map, no matter who and when it's going for it. It just hasn't come out in this particular one.
I also feel like it goes back to the question of like champion comfortability for the side of WE, right? Because again, I don't think Shank's necessarily having like a bad or to find the same amount of opportunities as when we do get Shanks on one of his prime champions.
And honestly, it felt like you gave LNG exactly the kind of draft they like, right? They love when they're able to get this counter pick going through the mid lane, or they take and then ban away a couple of champions that are good against it. But you just got the counter pick in the mid lane with the Azir. You then go and again, Tarzan happy to take his own jungle in that fourth pick because he's able to figure out exactly what's needed based on the opposition's draft. And then you get the last pick for Ale, or the first pick for Ale of this Viego. He's loved this pick. This has been such a strong pick. It felt like LNG just got everything they wanted.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because this is like reminiscent to me of old LNG, but mixed with the new version of where you got a lot of these picks that like are very individualistic in terms of how they can play out their laning phases, but we still saw Tarzan and Lwandy doing a great job of linking up and bringing it all together.
Yeah, I think the big thing we saw from LNG was comfort, things that they enjoy doing, things they look good on. We know mechanically they can perform on these champions. I think someone that we haven't really made a highlight of as such, but someone I do think that is slowly becoming better and better is Light. I think Light's positioning in these fights and keeping himself safe when, you know, everything goes wrong, even when WE tried to go for those engages. That was honestly fantastic this game.
Yeah, I mean, he just did his job, right? We didn't see like really any shenanigans happening in the bot side. Sure, we saw WE find a little bit of momentum early on, but not too much where it was like painstaking. And if anything, Light ended up getting ahead after the cross-map play came out, and then he was always able to stay ahead.
Yeah, and that's the big one. Like when you're coming into these like couple of fights for Dragons and he's already got that Wit's End completed, the Immortal Shield Bow, he's so tanky trying to take him down, and you've got so much protection coming through from the Braum and from Icon, this Azir. There's just nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. We'll see if there's anything WE can do, as we are going to throw it to a quick break. When we return, we will have picks bans from the